Guys, I'm not a misogynist, okay? Just to be clear. I'm honestly not a misogynist. Right, let's have a look.
Hey guys, I'm Emma and I'm a top 1% creator on OnlyFans. I've helped people just like you make a livable income on OnlyFans without even getting naked. You might be wondering how I've done that. So I built OFX as a blueprint that helps you build, manage, and grow your OnlyFans all while working on your own time wherever you want. Whether you're just starting out on OnlyFans or in the process of creating one, this program is for you. I give you all the secret tips and tricks other creators don't want you to know that you need in order to be a successful content creator. Being an OnlyFans content creator has allowed me to become financially independent, afford the things I always wished I had, and given me the
want to invest some of that money in getting a better fucking mic, I think.
Freedom to help people like you learn how to do it too. Before I knew all the secrets to OnlyFans, I was juggling a part-time job with
Why do these people they've got like they just don't seem to have this ability to perform. It's funny because they're supposed to be like performing in some way for this, OnlyFans shit. But they come on these videos and they're just like, I set up OnlyFans and this is the way that you can do it too. I set up a program to tell you how to do it and this is what... It's like, where's your fucking personality? Where's your performance? Where's your fucking, X factor? Hey, thanks a lot. That's really generous of you. Hey! Greed is not a sin. Thanks for the $25. That's super generous. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Well, she's saying she didn't have to take her clothes off, apparently. Holes are supposed to have personalities. What do you mean by that? What's that's a bit that's a little bit of a little bit spicy. Anyway, like I say, I don't think she showed any of that. You have to pay extra if you wanted to pretend to enjoy it. Guys, I'm not a misogynist, okay? Just to be clear. I'm honestly not a misogynist. I don't have a problem with people making fat stacks, doing OnlyFans, if they are fully abreast of the risks, the downsides, the difficulty, whatever. I don't have a problem with any of that, and I never did. I just think that there's this culture we're breeding and cultivating where we, don't have this critical eye on things, and we end up in a position where stuff just passes us by and is accepted and permitted and even pushed by some people, even on the left, that is, not good. It's not good. It's bad. It's bad that we in a society are in a situation where people go into sort of things which could potentially have a lot of downsides, and they do it because they're desperate and sometimes aren't even made aware of the downsides and the risks, and I generally oppose stuff like this on the whole, because any advice that you can give, right, is never really worth paying for. You're a leftoid. Is there a more limit to wealth one can accrue, provided there is no exploitation in its gain? Is parasociality exploitation? Is monetizing loneliness exploitation? Sure. I think monetizing... I think monetizing loneliness... I don't think monetizing loneliness in and of itself is exploitation. I think that there are ways that you can do it that are exploitative, but I don't know if it is in and of itself exploitative in our current society, right? I think if I'm looking at it more broadly, I would comfortably use exploitation to describe a lot of behavior that even some libs would probably get upset by, right? But I think that the way we look at things is going to be governed by how society is. And because we do live in a society and an economic system where everything is monetized, everything is commodified, right? There are extremities I think people can go to where you can maybe even be critical within that framework. But I think this is the culture in society that we live in. Capitalism breeds commodification. The neoliberal market-focused capitalism that the society that we have breeds commodification. Like commodification is something that it's the main, it's a massive mechanism of our system, right? If you look since the rise of neoliberal policies in like the 70s and 80s and so on, the way that commodification has taken hold of our society to very granular levels, and the way that commodification has affected basic interpersonal interaction, I find it difficult to be critical of that in and of itself. I think there's some forms of it that can be exploitative. So, for example, if you've got someone who does like a girlfriend experience, right? And if the kind of person that would subscribe to that would be someone who wants a girlfriend but can't get one, right? I think that would be exploitative. Would you be willing, if I didn't give you money from time to time? Is this the very example of that commodification granularity? Well, this is the problem as well, because this is something I do. Like, here's the thing, right? There's people out there who give me money that are probably lonely, right? But I think the difference is that I don't. So if I did a thing where I was like, right, you could be my friend. If you give me money, I do a friendship service. You can DM me and I'll talk to you, etc., etc. Yeah, sure. I think that would be exploitative. You know, I think that would be wrong. But I think if I'm putting it out there and saying, hey, here's my stream, you can support me, you can give me money if you want to support me, and it just so happens that you're a lonely person and you end up giving me money because you don't have a sensation of friendship outside of like this environment, I mean, there's not really much I can do about that. You know, like there's people there's people that would engage in certain behavior not rooted in wanting to purchase the commodified product, but because the purchase of that commodified product allows them to have some sort of interaction they wouldn't normally have, right? So think of an old man who hasn't got any family or friends left, and they go to the pub every night and they bought a bar and they buy a beer, and that gives them the opportunity to talk somewhat to the barman, right? Now, they're not really interested in drinking. You know, they're not really interested in drinking. What they're interested in is having a social interaction that they cannot get. And, you know, that's the only way that they personally can get any social interaction. Is the bar exploitative? Is the bar exploitative for taking money from that person because that's the only way that they get social interaction? Like, I don't think so, no. But if the bar had a service where it's like, it promoted that and it got people through the door specifically for that behavior, yeah, I think that would be exploitative. So yeah, I think if you're specifically promoting behavior which exploits, you know, lonely people or something, sure, that's probably exploitative. But I think just putting something out there and it just so happens that people come along who end up engaging in that, well, you know, you've not really promoted it, they're just using it in that way. But, you know, maybe it could be that I'm just trying to rationalize my own form of exploitation. So take it with a pinch of salt, because obviously I am incredibly biased in this because, you know, I don't like the idea that what I do is exploiting people. I'm not someone that can be trusted, okay? Cognitive dissonance sucks, yeah, true. But yeah, I mean, I'd ask you, yeah. I view as the guy playing a guitar on the side of the street with a hat out. I think there is some odd blend with, say, Discord community building of the Chud verse or content. Yeah, possibly. There's a weird mix there. Sure.
with being a full-time student. Now I'm making 20 times as much and have all the free time I ever wanted. Throughout this course, I'll show you the best ways to build, manage, and monetize your fan base all from scratch. My tips and tricks will help you rapidly accelerate your growth as a top content creator without getting naked, without needing an abundance of social media followers, and without jeopardizing a potential career.
I hate this. The income disparity of OnlyFans is worse than fucking South Africa. Yeah, I know. And the thing is like, I want people to be as I think.
Hey guys, I'm Emma.
I think if it was a situation where they were laying out some of the risks and issues, that'd be fine. Oh, the OnlyFans class has been out for 2 years. Damn, how do you know that? Twitch streamers are exploitative. We streamers say any Oilers in chat. Do you think that's exploitative? I think the exploitation comes in more so when you are specifically... It can be, maybe. Maybe it is. Is a busker exploitative? Do you think a busker is exploitative? Yeah, come on, listen. We only haven't got very long to fill these bars. Unfortunately, I can't stream as long as I normally would today, but yeah, I'm going away tomorrow after all. Honestly, it's going to be great to get away from all the crazy shit that happens. Okay, this is interesting. Yeah, I think a philosophy tube leading a rent strike when she makes 20k a month or more off YouTube with hidden income. I would say a leftoid should disclose income to be consistent. Yeah, I think that there's this unusual thing that happens where, so, you know, in my idealized world, I know that this is, you don't need to talk to me about the issues with this. I know there's issues, okay? I'm talking about clicking my fingers. Hey, Stylo, thanks for the gifted. I'm talking about clicking my fingers. And Utopia comes about, okay? Right? But I think, like, if we could decommodify housing, that would be based. But I appreciate it's very different. I don't even know how I'd get there. But what happens sometimes is people have that position or they have that view, or have a very negative view of landlords, when the negative view, if you have that position, should be of landlordism as a concept, right? Not individual landlords. Because landlords, whilst you can criticize behavior they might engage in if it's egregious, they are acting within the interests and the path they've been through in life, right? And also, there's circumstances where some landlords are not like mega rich slumlords who have got loads of properties. Some of them are like, have got a job and they just have a property they let out to make some extra money on the side or to save for their retirement or something like that, you know? So I think there's this situation sometimes where people will go, oh, there's a, you know, worker, when it comes to the philosophy tube case, taking on a landlord, and landlords are bad, so I'm going to support the worker philosophy tube. But then it's like, well, hang on a sec. What sort of income are we talking about philosophy tube having? And what's the situation with, like, the landlord, you know? Because if philosophy tube is earning 20k a month, but the landlord is earning 100k a month or some crazy shit, and they've got loads of properties and they're a millionaire, right? Maybe I might have a bit more sympathy for that sort of dynamic, possibly. But then if it's like philosophy tube makes 20k a month, but the landlord is making like 5k a month, right? And but their mortgages are, I don't know, X amount a month, and the bills are this much a month, and then they're basically at a very early stage and they're not really making much profit, or maybe they've had some difficulty and they're struggling or whatever. It doesn't seem to add up to me that we would just immediately go, oh, well, this is a tenant taking it to the landlord. It's like, well, hang on a fucking minute, okay? Or what about if it's a landlord that was working a regular job and just had a property on the side as like, they inherited that they now landlord out, but they're still struggling to make ends meet, because they've had their hours cut. What if that was a situation? Do you know what I mean? And you think, well, hang on a second, like that changes the dynamics at play here. And I think that there's a difference between having a 20k a month income and refusing to pay a landlord that is not going to affect if you don't or do a rent strike, versus not paying a landlord that's going to also struggle if you decide to do a rent strike. So yeah, it becomes trickier when you start to look at the detail of it, I think, because people have got a conception of landlords as being like, oh, landlords are just they're all like fucking monopoly man, mustache, slumlord, bags of money, etc. But it's not necessarily the case every time. Yeah. But people like to operate in black and white. YouTuber good, landlord bad, therefore don't pay landlord good. Like, yeah. But yeah, I'm sure some people will think I'm defending landlords. And obviously, being a Dan Orbiter, yes, I am.